Imagine everything that was reported as Pseudomonas maltophilia or Xanthomonas maltophilia loses its visibility given the fact that the identity has changed, and it went for a toss for the clinical world. Nevertheless, all this while, the organism kept on creating havoc, causing every conceivable infection of the anatomical sites, and there were varied clinical presentations. These were reported as isolated case reports and case studies and series. 2012, 1963, 2012. Interestingly, someone was kind enough to review and publish it, consolidating its position for the medical community. But it was another 10 years, 2023, when it sat proudly on the ITSA guidelines, and now we feel confident about this organism. We, meaning the clinical microbiologists, the intensivists, the IT specialists, we do not now have a problem with talking about Stenotrophomonas maltophilia, diagnosing it, including it in our reports, and treating it. We now do not discard it as an environmental pathogen, a likely contaminant, but we do take the context of the patient into consideration. All of this, my friends, can be accelerated if we, the clinicians, are ready to hold hands with the scientists of the country and approach this in an unbiased manner, in a hypothesis-free manner. And every time we have the context of the patient, just like this patient, an immunocompromised host, a preterm neonate, with symptoms and signs highly suggestive of invasive systemic infections against a backdrop of likely risk factors, which included the extreme of age, the immunocompromised condition, invasive devices in situ, many invasive procedures performed, institution of broad-spectrum antibiotics, and a long hospital stay. In such a patient, if there is a report which mentions an organism like Roseomonas mucosa, which many of us may not have heard, which many of us may prefer to discard as an environmental bug, as a contaminant, or as a noise when we use an advanced technology, may not be so. We should be reminded of the journey of Stenotrophomonas. Again, we have to corroborate it with the clinical likelihood, the method of sample collection, the mention of the organism in similar cases in literature, and we should approach it with a multidisciplinary team input. Our indigenous test, infection, using next generation sequencing, has revealed in the last 2 years many such smart bugs on the block. If I give you a sneak peek into what we have seen in just the last 6 months, these were the plethora of non-fermenters which are harbored in our clinical settings, in our hospitals, in our ICUs. And the variety in our country is much beyond what has a mention in any of the current international guidelines. And these have been seen in different sample types, ranging from, again, every conceivable sterile part of the body. You know, there is a reason why these are all called non-fermenters, and I specifically used this example. This was a brief phylogeny that we created from the isolates that we have seen using next-generation sequencing. The closer these bugs are on a phylogeny, the more likelihood that they are similar, be it phenotypically, be it biochemically, be it in their patterns of resistance. And just as we cannot ignore, and we usually do not ignore, a Pseudomonas or an Acinetobacter or a Stenotrophomonas now, I don't see a reason why we should be casually ignoring a Roseomonas mucosa, because they live in the same niches, they behave in the same way, they are with the same risk factors as their famous cousins. For each, and in fact, any of these organisms, the list is long. Do we, as the clinical microbiologists of this country, the harbingers of infectious diseases, do we really want to wait for the next 60 years so that somebody from the Western world can incorporate these data and make guidelines for us? Or do we want to look into our own epidemiology and frame our own guidelines? The decision, of course, is yours. Incorporated in 2018, Haystack Analytics, a homebred company, has taken it upon itself to be the enablers of this change in the country and then go global. And in 2020, we collaborated with the Department of Microbiology, GMC, and JJ Hospital for validating the TB genomics. By 2021, we already had the product functioning across the country. And this was the time when we started thinking broadly for every organism. And I see many people in this room who have been great supports who have given us intense inputs and feedbacks in our journey. Today, diagnosis delivered by us is actually a click away for you in a sample, pathogen, and syndrome agnostic manner. By which what I mean is that this test has the scope of early detection, targeted therapy, it can bridge the diagnostic gaps, it can give you early etiological diagnosis, which is and will always remain the key to the right therapy and the first stepping stone to antimicrobial stewardship. I strongly believe and I advocate pathogen identification still remains the mainstay to antibiotic stewardship. Everything else, the susceptibility tests, the MICs, the MBCs, all follow, if possibly can be done. Otherwise, the identification itself, and I think through all the talks that we had in Microcon, I attended the non-tubercular mycobacteria, I attended the antifungal stewardship. Everything seems to fall back upon a statement, if we can go to a species level identification with accuracy, it is going to change the way we deliver therapy to the patient. A complex process has been packaged into an assay so that it can be democratized throughout the country for all of you. We want all of you to be the users of this. A direct from sample test, which does away with the limitations of the current culture resources. We do not say that stop doing cultures or replace cultures. I think I agree with the the afternoon debate, which was excellent, which was very engaging. We really cannot do away with technologies as long as they have a proven benefit to the patient. Having said that, we really need to move on with the advances which can give us faster and more accurate diagnosis. And this should be with you on your table so that you can interpret it for your clinicians and help them make better choices. But when you have a technology, you have to be very sure that the analysis is very accurate for you. And that's why we have come up with a very dependable, high on quality, automated bioinformatic pipeline, which is the crux of using any sequencing technology. Operating across India now, it has exposed the test to nearly every sample type, and that gives me the confidence to stand on this platform and share my experience with you. It has experienced clinical samples across the geography, and there are amazing insights which were revealed to us. We partnered with early adopters, thanks to these people who decided that they did not want to wait for 60 years. They adopted it, and with them we could make inroads and we could make certain impacts in the patient's journey. Haystack is placing the world's gold standard discovery platform for routine diagnostics and improved clinical decision support system by taking a distributed genomics approach. We believe which can lead the world in creating a connected discovery platform, thereby rapid identification and characterization of any infection can happen. We will be better in our temporospatial understanding, creating better epidemiological networks, and can probably prevent the next global pandemic. The current day infection NGS is already aiming to tackle the silent pandemic of antimicrobial resistance. This is the way which I strongly feel we can take in unison to rewrite the diagnostic playbook in infectious diseases.